There's also lemonade back there. I'd just like to welcome you guys. We'll be getting started shortly. Thank you guys.
Because we weren't too far.
Oh, man. I called. Thank you. I haven't seen this one in ages. 400 and some students out there. I'm starting now. Good to see you, Josh.
Excuse me, everyone. May I have your attention? We have a table in the back of the room who has a quick message for you guys. The Lakota Tech Parent Guardian Recruitment Table has sign-ups and door prizes available in the back of the room, right over there at that table. And they would like to say, Lakota Tech High School Parent and Family Advisory Group serves as a liaison between parents and guardians. The Title I program, the group offers additional opportunities to be involved in your child's education. The next meeting is November 4th, 2024 at 5 p.m. in the Lakota Tech Commons area. Please come and support your students as they have some great ideas and plans.
Some of the people in the back can't hear. Is that as loud as that speaker goes?
No, I can turn it up louder. All right. Yeah.
Mic check, mic check. Good.
The innocence of youth. Is there anything any better?
You're gonna start.
We connect people. Have been for 100 years or so. How we get that done? Well, that won't always be the same. But why we connect people? Not in a million years is that ever going to change.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the Tatanka Talk and Forum. We'd just like to give a shout out to all of you candidates that have came out to support us as a youth and as a community. We appreciate each and every one of you guys showing up to hear from our candidates across the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation, or AKA POW Camp number 344, Pine Ridge Agency. I'll start off by giving a short introduction to our forum, and then we'll move right along. The Tatanka Talk and Forum is an initiative entirely managed by the Lakota Tech Student Council. Under the guidance of the Student Council Advisor and Activities Director, this collaborative effort aims to create an inclusive platform for our community engagement and dialogue. Thank you.
The primary vision for the Tatanka Talk and Forum is to establish a recurring event that enhances transparency regarding the tribal elections and the candidates who participate in them. By fostering an environment of openness, we hope to encourage informed participation within our community, allowing individuals to better understand the electoral process and the candidates' platforms.
We are sincerely grateful to extend an invitation to every community member and tribal candidate to join us for this important forum. Our goal is to facilitate a space where questions and concerns can be expressed safely and respectfully, ensuring that the voices of the community members are heard by those who may be elected to serve them. This initiative not only aims to promote civic engagement, but also strives to strengthen the relationship between constituents and their future elected officials. Thank you.
Right now, we would like to do the flag song and a prayer. We don't have a flag in here, so if I could, clearly, we don't have a flag here, but I'll just sing the flag song and then we'll move right into our prayer. Thank you. Give me that microphone. Not that one. Z, would you like to do the prayer?
I'll just offer us a prayer to start us off good. Hatukashila Wakantaka Betuashte. Thank you for bringing us all here. I pray that we can conduct ourselves civilly and keep us all safe, Tukashila. And I pray for our people and that we can actually get something done here, Tukashila, for our nation. Dakuyo Yasi. My name is Zania Iron Eyes. I am the student body representative here at Lakota Tech. I'm a senior, and I'm going to offer up some words of wisdom. And thank you guys for being here, listening to us. Okay, so the words of wisdom, the message that I want to convey to the listener is the power of showing up. In life, showing up is half the battle. And in school, or work, or wherever you are, showing up sets you up only for success. So to my fellow students, just show up. And to everybody here, just show up. The satisfaction that I get from showing up for a goal that I set and chasing that goal is often, it often has a lot more to do with the journey than the actual achievements that I get from achieving that goal that I've had over the years. If you put your mind, heart, and soul into something, win, lose, or draw, you'll get the satisfaction that you're looking for. Thank you.
Okay, so again, us as a student council, we'd like to formally introduce ourselves. My name's Heath Redall. I'm a senior. I'm also the senior representative on student council. This is Marcel Swallow, the vice president. He's a junior. Zinnia Ironized just introduced himself, and this is Tate Killsmall. He introduced himself as well. So we'd like to go straight into our forum rules for the candidates. The purpose of our rubric is to govern the discussion and to conduct ourselves in an orderly manner. We as the Lakota Tech Student Council wish for these rules to be abided by during our discussion to uphold Lakota values and fidelity. We'd like to go off into our first rule. It's candidate introductions. Candidates are allocated 90 seconds to introduce themselves and their political platform. The second rule listed is keep things civil. Candidates will not blatantly insult or verbally accost fellow candidates or raise voices at each other. The third rule listed is responding to questions. Candidates are allowed 3 minutes to respond to questions. Candidates will also be granted 1.5 minutes for rebuttal for claims and clarifications. Lakota Tech Student Council reserves the right to formally revoke a candidate for speaking over the allocated time. And then the fourth rule that we have listed is candidates must register with our front desk in order to participate in our forum. Our registration is to ensure that those who are running for an office are participating in community forums, debates, and talks. Thank you. Okay, so now we would like to call all candidates to the front where there are seats here. So all candidates, those who are running for an office. The first candidates who are up for questioning are those who are running for the office of president of the Oglala Sioux tribe. So now we would like to call the candidates who are running for the office of the president of the Oglala Sioux tribe to the stage. So the first question that we have for the presidential candidates is, what is your political platform? Oh, sorry, kind of jumped into it, sorry.
Mataki, I'm going to stand here. Mataki, Frank Starr comes out, current Oglala Sioux Tribe president. I'm running for re-election because I feel like I need to carry on what we started during this administration, and that is there's a number of things that I like to keep pushing forward. You know, one thing I like to mention is that the term for the Oglala Sioux Tribe president is not long enough. 2 years is not long enough. By the time you get to learn everything, it's coming. Things come to an end. By the time you learn the politics of it, the directors, the policies and procedures, the people in Washington, the people within the tribe, the directors, the whole 9 yards. By the time you get to know them important players, it's time to come to an end. So that's why I'm running. Again, my name is Frank Starr, comes out. My parents are Dalla Mexico, and Frank Starr comes out senior. And we come from the Tatanka Teoshpai on my mother's side, and my father's side, Chief Nowater Teoshpai. So I have a proud history of being a Oglala Lakota here. So with that, you know, my vision here is to unite at all levels, to change the structure of our tribal government, because I see too many discrepancies, and we can't make change. We could sit here and talk about, we're gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, but until we change that structure, it's not gonna happen. So that is why I'm running. I'll just say that much for now. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Tyler Yellowboy, current council representative for the Oglala District, also chairman of the Finance Committee and chairman of the Education Committee. I come as a two-time council representative and two-time district chairman for the Oglala District. And tonight you're going to hear two different answers to the questions that are going to be asked. You're going to hear two different sides of our stories. We may have grown up in Oglala, but there are two sides of how we envision our tribe moving forward. We see our tribe moving forward progressively in a way that will benefit our people in the next 7 generations. Because today, realistically, I am that 7th generation. And it's time we look at our people and how we're going to provide to our people in the next 7 generations, the future to come, your grandkids, your great-grandkids, and how our tribe is going to survive, and how our tribe is going to move forward in the leadership roles that we all play here. Each and every one of these individuals here took the initiative to put their name forward, to be a leader. So with that, you know, I thank the Lakota Tech student governing body here for the event, and I hope we have a good evening, and let's get started. Thank you.
My name's Henny Cleone Whalen. And usually we have two candidates sitting here. I didn't make it through the primaries, but there's a very good reason why I'm here. We have to abide by the election ordinance, the human resource manual, and the drug-free workplace. So basically what the election commission did was remove people from the ballot that tested positive for drugs. The Supreme Court allowed them back on the ballot, and I think that shorted you as a voter and me as a participant. So what I'm doing is I'm looking to overturn the elections, the primaries, and have a new election and go by the guidelines. That's only right, because what are we displaying to the children, to the kids, to the students? It's okay to run our government testing positive for coke, meth, and marijuana. Marijuana is still a Schedule III drug offense until Congress says different. A lot of people, in order to work, they have to do a UA test, hair follicle test, or bodily fluids test. If you test positive, you're not hired. Why is there double standards for council candidates and workers? Thank you.
Okay, thank you, candidates. Now we're going to move on to our questioning. Again, stated in our forum rules, Rule 3, responding to questions, candidates are allowed 3-minute responses to questions. Candidates will also be granted a 1.5 minute rebuttal for claims and clarifications. Lakota Tech Student Council reserves the right to formally revoke a candidate for speaking over their allocated time. Keeping things civil. The second rule on our forum rules is candidates will not blatantly insult or verbally accost fellow candidates or raise voices at each other. Now we'll move on to our questions. I don't know if you guys want to decide who wants to go first or if it should right to left. Okay. So we'll begin with Frank. Frank Starr comes out. What is your political platform?
Again, I prefer standing, so more comfortable that way. You know, I'm already on that journey with my platform, and I'm going to continue to push my platform, and that's to, my vision is to give the power back to the people, and that's what I'm going to continue. I need to push across the finish line here. And that's why I'm working with our programs, I'm working with our districts. I attend a lot of meetings, the elders, the youth, gatherings, things like that around the reservation here. And I do talk to the schools about giving input. I know last year I visited next door over here, the Wolf Creek Elementary, and it gave me some good insight with the questions some of the youth had over there, and I was pretty shocked to hear what some of the questions they asked me, and keep in mind these are different classes asking the same question, and it pertained to drugs, and why is it legal on this reservation? So things like that, it's an eye-opener. And I believe that we need to start listening to the people. We need to bring them back in a circle. We need to empower our districts so they can be the voice for our people. The council is set up to carry that voice. Your reps are set up to carry that voice to the council floor. But when your council floor is not speaking with your districts, there's a major miscommunication going on and a division. That's where we're divided. And I see that. I see that within our committees. our standing committees within our tribe. They're not communicating with our leadership, our programs, our districts. So that is what I am pushing and will continue to push throughout this next administration should I move forward. Because I believe the power is in the people, and it shows. It shows. So, Popula.
Now we would like to ask the same question for the presidential candidate, Tyler. What is your political platform?
Thank you. You know, we all see it, and it's law enforcement. We look at it, and how do we help our police officers? You know, that's number one. How do we do that? That's how you ask that question. And then you go and you look at your infrastructure. You look at your roads, you look at your housing. You know, all of those come into where we're at today. Our infrastructure, our housing, and our roads. And then it comes down to our healthcare and our education. You know, being on the education committee, you see 70% of truancy on this reservation. And I had the chance to speak this morning with one of the administrators at Crazy Horse School, and she said, help us. We want the tools so we can help these little kids growing up to be in these people's seats that you see sitting up here, or in these seats. So when it comes to what our platform is, or what my platform is, you know, we say we empower the people, but how do we do that? We do that by letting the people voice their concerns. We do that by going to the communities and listening to them as legislators. Because sometimes when you try to hold a district meeting, nobody comes. We see that. As elected officials up here, when we go to our district meeting, there's a handful of people that show up. When there's 1,900 in my district, there's 22 that show up. So, you know, when we talk about empowering our people, we need to look at it at all aspects. But also, the platform is making sure our tribe's moving forward with funding in the housing area, funding in law enforcement, and making sure that our court system is set up the way it should be, so that way our students and our the public can have a better court system than we do today. So it's all a complex issue. Well, I'm standing on infrastructure, which is roads, housing, and law enforcement. And we see that, my colleagues and I see that. That's a daily fight we fight. So with that, I'll cut it short. You're gonna throw 30 seconds up, but I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you, presidential candidates. We'll be moving on to our second question. To be a truly sovereign nation, do you believe that we must change the Constitution that holds us subject to the statutes and the Constitution of the U.S.?
That's a very good question. It's based on one aspect that we've been talking about for a while, and we've been trying to figure out how to do it. And I'm glad Ms. Ross is here, because she led the fight on constitutional reform and got those amendments passed, or not passed, but they were presented. But it takes grassroots initiative like that to start that constitutional reform. Because that piece of paper, that document, governs us as legislators, governs us on how we conduct ourselves and how the tribe is conducting business. So I believe in constitutional reform. I believe that addressing the issue of removing the Secretary of Interior from our Constitution should be a main issue, along with addressing your term limits like the President is asking. There's a lot of issues that should be talked about when it comes to constitutional reform, but again, it comes from the people, it comes from the communities. It takes the community and the people to understand and move forward with those constitutional reforms. I believe a couple administrations ago, Jackie was a part, was that you, Jackie, that was a part of the 54 changes to the Constitution. And unfortunately, it fell to the wayside. But again, constitutional reform, we need to update our Constitution. It's holding us back, not only on the superintendent side, but on our land leasing, but also trying to secure home leases for veterans who qualify for HUD VASH. You know, that's holding us back, and Ms. Spotted can attest to that. She's been trying to get a house, but yet when it comes to land lease, you're only allowed 5 years. And that's not, you know, that may be an issue back then when it was put into the Constitution, but now we live in a time where we need to update and actually have a true Constitution revision and address constitutional issues. Thank you.
Thank you, Tyler. We'll move on to the our presidential candidate, Frank. Sorry, what's up?
Yes. You know, I am a firm believer in Constitution reform. But one thing has to happen first: separation of power. Separation of power has to happen. That's what's holding us up ultimately. Why? Because just look at the current situation right now. We got the whole tribal council sitting on the housing board. Yeah. Look what happened to it. You know, by now you think we have some positive outcome over there with 21 council members sitting on that board. So the council needs to give that board back to a nine board member represented by each district. Things like that. Look what happened to the police department, you know, the casino. Separation of power needs to happen. We need to give the power back to the districts and let the people decide what we need. And we should be the ones carrying out the orders of the people. That's how it's supposed to work. And that's my vision right there. By doing that, it gives the people, our tribal government, our directors, and gives them the power to handle their program. You know, we got well-educated people running these programs. Why are we stopping it? Why are we holding them up? Why are we putting barriers in their vision? We need to let them run their programs. That's what I see. And when the tribal council, when we step in and make those decisions for them, it tends to create division. Because I believe, you know, if we have separation of power, it'll give them more confidence to run their program and stop being bullied and those kind of things that happen behind closed doors. So that's what I think why Constitution reform has to happen. Thank you.
Thank you, Frank. By the request of Tyler, he would ask for a rebuttal, and in our rules, we are allowing him for a 1.5 minute rebuttal. Thank you.
I just want to make it quick. You know, President Starr comes out, talked about giving the board back to the people. It is. There's 4 board members currently seated now. So, those elections are happening. And I believe Pine Ridge has their seat that's been seated along with Oglala and along with 2 other districts. So, those individuals who did take the initiative, Wakwamani, I believe, right? Porcupine, excuse me. They're the districts that now have seated housing board members, and the other one should be elected because there was more than one applicant in that process. So thank you.
Thank you to both candidates. We'll be moving on to our next question. It is relevant to the Oglala Sioux Tribe's constitution. How will you enforce Article 12 Bill of Rights and lead tribal government to do the same? We'll call our presidential candidate Frank Starr comes up. How will you enforce Article 12 Bill of Rights and lead tribal government to do the same?
Well, personally, I don't think we need to change anything on the Bill of Rights. It's just that we need to, I believe that we are a sovereign nation. We pretty much set our own standards. So as far as following those guidelines, I think we're sitting good. We just need to reinforce them and be. We need to be consistent. That's the word I was looking for. We need to be consistent with some of the laws that we have here in place. We have a good system set up, but it just needs to happen. A lot of our laws that are in place are just need to be reintroduced and enforced. That's all I have to say on that. Thank you.
I believe it's the same question. Okay. So the Bill of Rights, and Ms. Whalen back there is very educated in the Bill of Rights because she was an advocate for the tribe for a while. But when you look at the Bill of Rights and you're creating laws, each and every one of us has a right. And when you have that right instilled in the Constitution, that's put in there to make sure that we're not violating your rights, even though sometimes it may come down to ratifying that section of the Constitution. And for me personally, I don't think there is a need to address the Bill of Rights, maybe to look it over and ratify it in the Constitution. But the Bill of Rights is put in there so that way all peoples are respected equally.
Thank you for your responses, candidates. We'll move on to our last question for the presidential forum. Is the Oglala Sioux Tribe a sovereign nation, although powers of the Tribal Council are subject to any limitation imposed by the statutes or the Constitution of the United States, as stated in Article 4, Powers of the Council, Section 1, enumerated powers. The Oglala Sioux Tribal Council shall exercise the following powers: subject to any limitation imposed by the statutes or the Constitution of the United States, and subject further to all express restrictions upon such powers contained in the Constitution and the attached bylaws. We would like to ask Presidential candidate Tyler to answer.
Boy, that's a hard question to answer. And whoever came up with that question, good job. It got us thinking, or got myself thinking, you know, there's one thing I've learned being in this position as a council representative is to do your job. When you do your job and follow the Constitution and follow the laws that are put into place before you, because some of these laws were put in way before my time. And, you know, I always question with our attorneys, how do we do that? Is that legal? Are we going to be questioned? Is this going to come back on us? And there's one thing that I always get reminded of is legislative immunity. And that's one thing that as a legislator you only have that authority, that ability while you're conducting business in the tribal council. You cannot exercise your right as legislative immunity and go and rob a store and come back and think it's okay. The law is the law, and as long as you follow your constitution, your bylaws, there should be no question to come back to you as, why is that being questioned? Why is this being questioned? And there's some, you know, when we talk about separation of powers and everything, this is where your judicial system and your legislative system need to be split. And I say that because there's a lot of times where we would get issues coming from the Law and Order Committee, and I would turn around and walk out and leave the room because I know we can't address that. We can't talk about that. So, you know, great question. I hope I answered it right or wrong, but that's my stance of where I'm at. Thank you.
Thank you, Tyler. We'll pass the mic over to our presidential candidate, Frank.
Wow, that was a long, tough question there. You know, I believe the Constitution of the United States doesn't align with our people, our nations. And that's what we're testing now. We're testing those boundaries as we speak. You know, in that Constitution, it calls us savages there, which, you know, it doesn't line up with our treaty obligations, or the treaties we have in place, and that's being tested right now as we speak. So, me personally, I don't agree with the Constitution of the United States. I know I took an oath many times under that Constitution to uphold it, but I also took an oath to my people as a Tokala. And that's the current oath I hold, also along with the oath of the people here, the Oglala tribe. So I'm testing those boundaries. We're pushing litigation now against the United States government and the state on some issues. So we need to keep fighting. We need to keep pushing forward. I believe we're not seated equally within the United States here. An Indian country needs to be addressed. So that's what I believe in, that we need to keep fighting. We need to stay in the fight, and we need to change some of this language in the Constitution. And let's get our treaty obligations met. So that's what I believe. Welcome.
Thank you, presidential election electors, for coming up and speaking today. And we would like to invite the vice presidents to come up and speak your piece. Thank you. if you would like to start your candidate introduction, and you're located 90 seconds to introduce both of yourselves.
Good evening, Lakota Tech, Tatanka. My name is Alicia Musso. My parents are the late John and Vera Musso, and my grandparents are the late Lena and James Musso, and we're from Porcupine, South Dakota. And my hookup parents are Howard Brown and the late Karen Spoon Hunter Brown of Wind River, Wyoming. I am in my second term as your vice president. It's been an honor and privilege to be able to serve you all in this capacity. I love this job. I love our people. I love our nation. And I want to continue to serve as your vice president in this capacity. And so I just want to thank you guys for having this forum. It's an amazing thing to come out and listen to your questions. I'm waiting for those hard questions because those last ones were really hard. But I'm really excited about them and really excited that you guys are learning about your government, because you guys will be the people up here next, and we'll be out there as elders asking you questions. So thank you all for inviting us, and thank you for having this for our community.
Good evening. Before I begin, I want to say to my elders, I ask that you forgive me for speaking before you. I mean no disrespect. To the youth, I say thank you for your time and attention, for after all, this is your time and not mine. My name is Joseph, walks underground. I'm from the Medicine Root District. My Tioshpae are the Bull Bears, walks undergrounds, Valiants, and Christiansons. I'm not a politician, I'm just a common man with common concerns like a lot of the people out there. I did at one time run for council. Was elected from the 2008-2010 term. I did run again and was beat out by one vote. And I stepped away from politics and I'm back. Thank you.
Thank you, candidates, for the introductions. We'll recover on our forum rules. We'll go down to the second line. Keep things civil. Candidates will not blatantly insult or verbally accost fellow candidates or raise voices at each other. The third one listed is responding to questions. Candidates are allowed 3-minute responses to questions. Candidates will also be granted 1.5 minutes for rebuttal for claims and clarifications. The Lakota Tech Student Council reserves the right to formally revoke a candidate for speaking over their allocated time. With that being said, we'll move on to our questions. Vice Presidential Candidate Alicia Musu, what is your political platform?
So, as I learned in my first term and second term, you can come in with these things that you want to try, but the issues of the day will rise to the top. So when we first came in 2020, it was COVID, right? And so I stepped in to try to help our COVID task force as much as we could, and we did a lot of work together, created a lot of relationships, and that has really made me realize, and I've realized it over my life, right, that teamwork is what it's about, right? I work with our current council reps all the time. We communicate every day. We all have our strengths and weaknesses, and we all try to help each other as much as we can, right? We can't cover all the issues that our nation has to do as one person, so we rely on each other to step up where their expertise is, and we lean in to help them, because it takes the full council, the full executive, the people to really make those changes. So right now we have a number of issues that are going on in our community. I've been helping with ICWA and CPS for the past 3 years with a few of our council reps sitting here too. We've brought in some funds for that, so we're going to continue working on that. And just continue relationship building with the state, with our federal partners, with our community, right? Those relationships, as we know, are what makes us the strongest nation, one of the strongest tribal nations, is those relationships we have with each other and with our people. And we know that everybody always looks to us, and so we want to continue to create those relationships. So that's always something that I try to do in all the work I do. So if you will, that's sort of a platform, is to continue those relationships and keep them strong, healthy, so that we can do the good work that we
Thank you, Alicia. We would like to ask the same question to Vice Presidential candidate, Mr. Joseph. What is your political platform?
Thank you. As I mentioned before, I'm not a politician. I'm just a concerned community member, and I've actually followed politics for many years. My platform is basically one of transparency and accountability. I think there's a disconnect between the people, the Oyate, and our current form of government. What we have to understand is that the IRA was created in 1935. Prior to that, we were put on the reservations in 1889. Prior to that, we were a treaty tribe. And that treaty tribe, the treaty that we signed was in 1868. And even prior to that, we were still the Oglala Nation. Before the Europeans came here, we were still the Oglala Nation, and we still are the Oglala Nation. I think that we need to get back to the issues that are the responsibility of this United States government in regards to the treaties and the obligations that they should be holding, and that we have the right to. And that includes public safety, housing, education, all these things that are part of the treaties. You may ask why I speak about the treaties so, and what right do I have? Well, I am actually a descendant of treaty signers. Man who walks underground, Bull Bear, they were both my ancestors. So I think it's important that we look at this, and that in order to approach this, we need to go to the government and say, you know, this is your obligation, and you need to abide by the obligation that you owe us. Thank you.
Thank you, candidates. We'll move on down to our questions. Why do you think you should be in office? What experiences do you have in or around council? Vice Presidential candidate Mr. Joseph, would you like to respond first, please?
Thank you for the question. As I mentioned, I did serve in council from 2008 to 2010. One of the things that the president then, Ms. Huck-Chubul, said was, set your sights on one goal. Don't try to go after a bunch of goals. So at that time, as a veteran, I was approached by an elderly veteran within our community, and he said, don't forget the veterans. And so I set out to find a way to bring about something that would be for our veterans, and that was, at the time, was the Lakota Freedom Veterans Cemetery, which is established over in Medicine Root. It was established over there because we went to all the communities, and when we had the delegates from Washington, D.C. come, they looked at all the areas that we had selected, and they are the ones who chose that area. They said that they would support it if we were to actually choose that site out there. I know that that didn't happen in one administration. It actually took 3 administrations to have that complete. So I know how the bureaucratic wheel turns. It's a very slow turning wheel. And that was one of the things that I'm proud to say was accomplished at that time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Joseph. We would like to ask the same question to Alicia Masood. Why do you think you should be in office? What experiences do you have in or around council?
So, I guess the real question is why you all think I should be in office, but the reason I ran the first time, and I continue to run is because I love our people. I love our community. I love our reservation. There's so many good people here doing good work, and I want to be a part of that. I want to be a part of the good work you guys are doing. And the experience before I came on the council, I was doing programming in our communities. Before I went to grad school, I did diabetes prevention programming, got to work with a lot of good people, got to see them change their lives through diet and exercise, and it really triggered me to go to grad school so I could do more work and learn more things, so I could come back and help our people, right? That's what we tell you all, go to school, come back and help your people. And when I came back, I was doing research for substance use prevention for children and families, and doing trauma-informed care work, and I wanted to have a larger impact, so that's why I ran for vice president then, and why I continue to run is because we can do so much good work. You know, we do catch a lot of grief, and that's okay, that's a part of the job, right? There is a lot we have to do as elected officials, as, you know, to cover a nation, but it's good work. I love doing it. I love coming to work every day, showing up. Thank you for the words of encouragement. It's so huge to show up. I love working with our council. I love working with our communities, our programs, our people, our partners at the state, federal, you know, private entities. I really love creating relationships because, like I said before, those relationships can go a long way in creating good for our communities. So that's the experience I have. I've worked with, like I said, with council reps, with the state, with federal folks, with different entities, and I want to continue to do that work because we have a lot more work to do, and I'm excited to continue to do that with our incoming council and with you all too. Thank you.
Thank you, candidates. Just a quick reminder, our Lakota Tech Parent Guardian Recruit meeting table. Sign up for door prizes over there by the office if you want to stand up and wave through. Also, a shameless plug to our candidates only. We do have a snack table and coffee and lemonade behind our shades here. Another shameless plug, we also have our concessions open. It's being ran by our dance club. While you guys are doing that, we as the student council, to the best of your expertise, why are youth committing suicide and killing each other at such alarming rates? Vice presidential candidate Alicia Masood.
So, I'm a psychologist by training. So that I look to the research, right? And there's a lot of things in the research that show there are some risk factors. If you know someone who's committed suicide, you're more likely to commit suicide. If it's a close relative or things like that. And if we have a lot of that going on in our communities, we are going to have a lot more people who that's on their mind and it's really close to them, right? But I've also noticed recently, and there are some treatments for that too, right, and interventions, and I do believe we just got the Garrett Lee Smith Foundation grant, or Garrett Lee Smith grant for health admin, which is suicide prevention grant, so our health administration has been doing some amazing work applying for grants, so they'll be looking at that. We also have our Division of Behavioral Health that's actually up and going. It's a charter right now, so they are providing more services to our community. So really excited about that, because like I said, there are some treatments for depression and our mental health, and we also have to continue to talk about mental health as real health. It's a part of all of our health, right? When I was trained in grad school, you know, they taught us to, when you go to the hospital for an ailment, maybe you have the flu, you need to bring a mental health person in to ask you those questions. You know, are you feeling depressed? What symptoms have you been having? Have you been having these? Because that's a part of all of our health, right? If our mental health isn't good, our physical health isn't good either. And it can have this huge effect because that balance we need to keep within ourselves. So we do need to work on that, really destigmatizing mental health and really talking about holistic health and how all of our health is integrated, even our spiritual health, right? I'm really thankful in our schools we get to Azalea, we get to pray, we get to do those things that, you know, that we need to do to take care of our spiritual health in our schools here on the reservation, because we have a Bill of Rights, right? And we have those things that protect our spiritual practices, who we are as Lakota people. But we really do need to destigmatize, you know, mental health and that it's a bad thing. You know, we all have it. We all have emotions. I learned that in grad school, which I was like later in life, right? And my advisor was like, you need to start talking about feelings. right? So that's the other thing, we need to start talking about feelings, and I'm really excited about our Division of Behavioral Health, that we got this new Garrett Lee Smith grant. We're trying to bring in more services for our communities, for our children, for our families, and I believe we're doing a good job of that. It just takes a little while, but I do have hope, and I think that's the thing, is that we have hope, and this brings me hope tonight, for you guys to be here, for you guys to do this for our community. So there's a lot we can do, and we just got to keep the hope and faith. Thank you.
Thank you, Alicia. We'll now ask the same question to Mr. Joseph. Why are youth committing suicide and killing each other at such alarming rates?
I think that in regards to mental health and suicide in general, a lot of it stems from the environments that we're in. We have a very rough environment that we all live in. We live under 3 different laws. We live under tribal law, we live under state law, and we live under the government law, federal law. But you can say that we're probably the most lawless country within these United States. We have so much going on with drugs and alcohol and the other issues, social issues that really need to be addressed. And it's not something that's going to happen overnight. It's good that we have these social programs, but to address to the individuals, I attended a meeting at Little Wound last week in regards to suicide, because one of my nephews had committed suicide, and it was at the middle school, Little Wound, and I was a little bit discouraged by the fact that there wasn't very many parents there. There was a lot of staff there, probably because they were giving away a 65-inch TV. It kind of made me wonder about how can we get the community involved? How can we get parents involved? And I think that's where it needs to be addressed in the home. I think the distribution of information, having them come to meetings and letting them be aware of how this can be addressed is something that needs to be done. I'm not good at public speaking, I'll tell you that much. I much rather listen than talk. Maybe that's why I pursued and actually achieved a degree in human services. I am not utilizing that degree now, but it made me look at all the aspects of what's going on within our communities. And I think that it's basically something that has to happen in the homes, giving them the information and dealing with it there. Thank you.
Thank you, candidates. We'll move on to our last question for the vice presidential candidates. How do you plan to improve housing availability for our community members, and how do you plan to improve activities and opportunities for youth on the reservation? Vice presidential candidate, Mr. Joseph, if you'd like to respond first, please.
Thank you. In regards to housing, I think that we really need to look at what's going on with our housing program. Everybody's aware of what happened there with the misappropriation of funds, and how it was said that the upper management was spending a lot of money in inappropriate ways. And so if we get our housing program to look at how they can do a better job and hire individuals that, during COVID we had housing that was actually doing security. And I was like, why is housing doing security? I mean, their job is to build houses or renovate houses, and it was said that, you know, across the reservation there are so many boarded up houses, and I was in fact on the housing list for 10 years before I moved away from here. When I came home, I lived in a motorhome for about 3 weeks until I purchased a trailer house. And I didn't even attempt to get on the housing list because I knew it was probably not going to happen. So what I did was I built my own home with the help of my family and friends. So we were in Wamblee today, and when I was in council, we had a meeting out there, and there was an older lady, Miss Randall, who came and hollered at me. She said, "Hey, you, come here." I figured I was going to get chewed out or something. And she looked at me and she said, you're the one building that house out there, aren't you? And I said, yeah, that's me. She said, I said to my son, be like him, one board at a time. And that's basically what we did, one board at a time. And we're still building. And I think that that's how we should approach housing.
Thank you, Mr. Joseph. We'll ask the same question to Vice Presidential candidate Alicia Musu. How do you plan to improve housing availability for our community members, and how do you plan to improve activities and opportunities for youth on the reservation?
Thank you. So being a homeowner is hard. It is a lot of work. So I've been always thinking about what kind of homes do we need where it's like, it's a lot of work to be a homeowner. And we see a lot of boarded up houses. And I know Mr. Holder over at Housing is applying for a grant where he can get some of those boarded up houses open again. We need infrastructure too. I've been working with our water folks to really look at our water infrastructure, because if you build a house, right? We saw it when the FEMA trailers came, right? There's FEMA trailers all over, but they weren't being lived in because you need water, you need electricity, you need sewer, you need a land lease, right? Which you have to go through the BIA for. So it's a lot of work to get a home and to maintain a home and keep a home. And so I've always been thinking about those, what kind of homes do we need? And I've been watching Red Top Renewable with those dome homes. I don't know if you guys have seen those 3 over by the track. I'm really excited to see how those work and what, if they maintain and things like that, because we really got to start thinking outside the box, because like you said, Mr. Walks Underground, it's one board at a time with these modern homes, but we need to start thinking outside the box of what these houses could look like that will be long-lasting, that our people can take care of, and they're not so much maintenance and require so much, right? Wish we could go back to teepees for sure, because you don't need a water heater or a furnace for those, but those things it adds up. And for activities, we try to sponsor, my office tries to sponsor movie theater, free movies for people, because we have businesses in our community that are doing good things, and we want to support them, and we want to turn the dollar over a couple times here rather than only once. And so we try to sponsor those activities in our communities, because like I said, there's a lot of good people doing good things. And we sponsored the pumpkin patch, and there's a lot of trunk or treat. So I want to thank our community too for putting those things on. I think you guys are having a trunk or treat out here, right? It's on Halloween, the 30th. We tried to collect the list of all the people doing trunk or treats, and we're really excited and thankful that every community, it looks like, has a trunk or treat going on. So our people don't have to travel to other districts. They can just stay in their districts and do those things. So that's what we try to do, is support our folks who are doing that work already. Oyate Techau and Kyle. We have the art space. We have some artist laureates. We try to support those local things with the funding that we have in our office, so that people can enjoy those, especially if they cost money or if we need to bring people in. So we try to use our funds to support those things. And like I said, once again, thank you guys for doing those things in your programs, in your communities, for your people. Because it takes all of us to take care of our people. Thank you.
We would like to thank the vice presidential candidates for coming out tonight. Before concluding on to our next segment, we would like to have a 5-minute break for our candidates. You are available to go and behind our shades here and get some snacks. During this time, we'll be assessing our next options for the next segment, which is the candidates, or the representative candidates. So yeah, we'll have a 5-minute break. Candidates, you are allowed to, you're welcome to go behind the shades and grab some snacks. Thank you.
We didn't build the communities that made South Dakota. We just brought them together.
Advertising can be a struggle. Where to spend your money? Are you reaching the right audience? If you are looking for an effective method that reaches a large fan base at once, then here's your ticket with Live Ticket TV. With over 90 schools in the state of South Dakota, we can help you advertise locally with just your team or reach the region and state. Plus, a portion of all sales go directly back to the school. Get a hold of Stormy today, and let's get started in building your brand with Live Ticket TV.
Out here, you learn that to keep growing, you have to keep changing. CHS and the farmers and ranchers we serve know all about change, because together we've changed agriculture. That's why we're the largest farmer-owned cooperative in the country. So farmers own the system they can with advantages at every step. From innovative tools that help crops grow, to grain processing expertise, to energy solutions, we create connections to empower agriculture. Learn more at chsinc.com.
This is what matters. This is beyond X's and O's. This is the difference mutual respect makes. This is what character looks like. This is what defines us in South Dakota. This is sportsmanship. School sports, it's not the outcome that matters most, but the way the games are played. This message presented by the South Dakota High School Activities Association and the South Dakota Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association.
Do you have a pest problem? Got bats, ants, termites? Family-owned and operated, Olson's Pest Technicians have had over 50 years' experience taking care of pest problems in places across South Dakota, Nebraska, and Iowa. Utilizing brilliant methods such as Centricon bait stations for termites and Vicane treatment for bed bugs. There's no pest too tough for Olson's Pest Technicians. If you have pest problems, call 800-KILL-BUGS.
For 125 years, Security First Bank has been the bank, a dependable fixture of the community and innovators of what comes next. As we celebrate our history, we remain committed to your dreams with dedicated and driven people, expertise, and attention. Because when you're the bank, you're driven by the people who are your customers, neighbors, and friends. And that's been our commitment since 1898. Security First Bank. We're the bank.
Agriculture is like no other business, which makes Farm Credit Services of America like no other lender. Owned by the farmers and ranchers we serve, our customers have a voice in how we work, a stake in what we do, and share in our success. Discover a lender that works for you at Farm Credit Services of America.
The best Western Ramkota Hotel in Rapid City supports all South Dakota student athletes and their families. They are conveniently located off Interstate 90, close to downtown and minutes from the beautiful Black Hills. Ramkota offers sports and family-friendly rates. Guests can relax for free in the indoor water park. They have 36,000 square feet of banquet Nervous Restaurant and Bar is located on site. Best Western Ramkota welcomes everyone to beautiful Rapid City.
Good afternoon, or good evening.
Looking for us.
So back here in this back corner, there's some food and some drinks. You guys can help yourself. It's now open to everybody. If you guys want some, just come help yourself. Thank you guys.
Business. Farmers Union Insurance has the variety of coverage options to protect each perfect moment. Farmers Union Insurance. Contact your local Farmers Union Insurance agent today.
So it was always part of my journey that I was going to be a nurse and I was going to give back to my community. Nobody understands our needs like we do. So we need more youth that are interested in becoming nurses, doctors, pharmacists. We need more Indigenous representation in healthcare.
The innocence of youth. Is there anything any better? But soon they'll be in high school and facing all the same challenges you faced. How to make friends, how to fit in, how to be cool. We want our children to have everything they'll need to live fulfilling and productive lives. Make sure the kids in your family are among the more than 57,000 participants here in South Dakota who take part in high school sports or activities.
We connect people. Have been for 100 years or so. How we get that done? Well, that won't always be the same. But why we connect people? Not in a million years is that ever going to change. We didn't build the communities that made South Dakota. No. We just brought them together.
Advertising can be a struggle. Where to spend your money? Are you reaching the right audience? If you are looking for an effective method that reaches a large fan base at once, then here's your ticket with Live Ticket TV. With over 90 schools in the state of South Dakota, we can help you advertise locally with just your team or reach the region and state. Plus, a portion of all sales go directly back to the school. Get a hold of Stormy today, and let's get started in building your brand with Live Ticket TV.
Out here, you learn that to keep growing, you have to keep changing. CHS and the farmers and ranchers we serve know all about change, because together we've changed agriculture. That's why we're the largest farmer-owned cooperative in the country. So farmers own the system we have, with advantages in every step. From innovative tools that help crops grow, to grain processing expertise, to energy solutions, we create connections to empower agriculture. Learn more at chsinc.com.
Well, it seems that we come to the end of our intermission tonight, and we're getting ready to start back up our forum. Once again, we just give you guys a big thank you for coming out, showing your support to youth here. Thank you to our presidential candidates and to our vice presidential candidates for showing their voices for the people. We come into our council men and women now, our representatives from our districts. Just thank you guys. Let's find our seats once again, please, and thank you.
Thank you everybody for taking your seats. At this time, we would like to begin drawing our door prizes. So if your name is called, please go back to our IPAC station, or our IPAC table, and claim your prize. Darren Maribel.
It's rigged. It's rigged. Rigged. And if I win, it's legit.
Jeannie Puyer. I don't. Bruja.
Definitely rigged. And if Bruce gets one, then you know it's rigged.
Yep.
Chase Iron Eyes. Thank you guys for writing your names and going to their IPAC table. We will be having another drawing later. Moving on to our next segment. Moving on to our next segment is our student council, or not council, our Oglala District Council candidates. At this time, I'm going to announce that we did change our forum rules. Candidates are allowed 2-minute response questions. Prior to this change, the presidential and vice presidential candidate did have 3-minute responses, but now it is shortened to 2. Candidates will also be granted 30 seconds rebuttal for claims and clarifications. Prior to the change, for the presidential and vice presidential candidates, it was 1.5 minutes. Recovering on the topic, Lakota Tech Student Council reserves the right to formally revoke a candidate for speaking over their allocated time. At this time, I would like to introduce the new student moderator for this segment, Zania Iron Eyes.
Hello. Thank you guys for coming. It's much appreciated. Thank you to the audience and everybody that cares about what goes on here on our on the mighty Oglala Nation. The first question is related to the land and how we use it. And so, how do we reacquire the fee land that is leased by outside ranchers, like non-Indian ranchers, given the legacy of the Dawes Allotment Act? What do we do about nearly half our reservation being leased by these outside ranchers who then destroy the land and make money off of it? 2 minutes.
Good choice. Good evening. My name is Kevin Delaware Steele. I'm a candidate for the Wendy District. I come from Anderson. The question I had, how would I would stop the lease on that land. You know, they have a lease.
Actually, we're going to do introductions first, actually. Yeah, we should have done that first. Sorry.
All right, here I go, right in. Give me a mic, here I go. All right. My name is Kevin Steele. I'm from Anderson, running for Wendy District Representative. How much time do I have? Just an introduction? All right. Thank you. I come from the Wendy District. I'm running for council. I'm one of the 4 that made it into the general election, and I'm standing on here fighting for our people. Thank you.
My name is Maggie Ross, and I am running for Porcupine District Representative. I'm running on a variety of issues, mostly around accountability, transparency, looking at financial accountability, to address all the various things that are going on within the tribe. I want to thank you guys for doing this. This is like my third youth candidate forum that I've attended, and I'm so honored to be here, and I'm really proud of all of our youth for taking the initiative to do this, because most of our other facilities that should be doing this are not. So thank you.
Thank you, Lakota Tech, for putting on this forum. My name is Mike Carlos Sr., and my whole platform is based on economic development and employment. Every year, over 200 kids graduate on this reservation. If 30 of them go on to higher education, military, or trade school, that leaves what? 170. Over 10 years, that's 1,700 of our youth have no employment here. You have candidates that boast about being on the council 10, 12 years. How many jobs did they create in those 10 years? I bet you could count them on both of my hands. Thank you.
My name is Derek Janice. I'm running for a Pine Ridge Village representative. My platform is, I'm running on transparency. I want to see our DPS do better, our Medicare, housing, our roads. There's a lot of issues out there that I think I can help with. Thank you.
My name is Julian Spotted Bear. I am running for Pine Ridge Village representative. I am also running for various reasons. I was a prior council representative for Pine Ridge Village, and I believe that a 2-year term is simply not enough time to complete or start your goals and complete your goals. Governments such as in Washington, D.C. and the state recognize that whenever they're dealing with our tribe, and so they use that against us when we are running. Some of the objectives are opportunities for employment. We don't have enough employment. When we go out and seek our training, our certifications, our college education, and we come home, we don't have a pathway to come into, as well as housing. We are living multi-generational. Thank you.
Wendell Youngman, Wachiapi. My platform has always been moving forward with and making our laws stronger. But as we go and move along, we find out that our fight is hard every day. We're fighting with the state, we're fighting with the federal government because of our rights, but because of the funding that we no longer get. The litigation that was mentioned earlier, we started that 2 terms ago, and it's still a fight for us. All of our programs are suffering because of this funding. And without those mechanisms in place with that funding, we have a stop effect. So, thank you.
Wendell stopped when he seen them fingers coming up. So. Good evening, and thanks for putting this on. My name is David Poyer, running for tribal council again from the Porcupine District. I really don't have a platform, but I would like input from you. How do we stop the gun and drug violence that's going on this reservation? We cannot do that alone. We need the youth, because it's the youth that are doing all this damage. Thank you.
Thank you to the Student Council. Lekhtatuki Bitakiapi, Mitrachajeki, Sonia Little Hawk Weston, Imachapi. Na Lakolchajeki, Sheena Sapomi, Imachapi. I just want to greet everyone with a heartfelt handshake this evening. My name is Sonia Little Hawk Weston, and I'm running for re-election for the Wakpamni District. I'm an 8-term council representative, just finishing my 16 years on the tribal council, and my platform is to run and continue to run, and hopefully one day all 21 of us council representatives could all vote yes on a lot of good things that need to get done for the youth and the elderly and everyone across the reservation. So today I just want to say that I don't always have a platform. I just hope one day that we can move forward in a good way, and that we could, all 21 of us, always agree to one thing, and that is working for the people. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Jackie Sears, and my parents are Ted Sears and Yvonne Fire Thunder. And I'm running for tribal council for the Wakpamini district again, and I'm just finishing up my 6th term. So I'm really excited about moving forward, and there's a lot of things on my platform that we're dealing with every day. You know, it looks like that we could just never come to terms on just one thing, because we got a lot on our plate as leadership. And we do go to DC and lobby, so I really believe that that's where our job is supposed to be, lobbying for more funding, lobbying for the rights of our people up there in DC. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Phil Goodrow, candidate for Pine Institute, Porcupine District. One of the platforms I running for is, of course, education for our children. And being a board member for Porcupine School for approximately 16 years, we did a lot of good things and a lot for Porcupine School. But other than that, the other thing is business development for our reservation. We have Lakota immersion, but we also need business development immersion in our schools so our children can learn how to run a business. Anytime that they save money or run into some large amounts of money, whatever the case may be, if they borrow money, they could develop some type of business.
All right, thank you guys. Thank the candidates, and we'll move on to our first question now. So, how do we reacquire the fee land that is owned by outside ranchers, given the legacy of the Dawes Allotment Act, and what do we do about it? Where are we supposed to go? We need the land.
The mic got stuck in my hand, so I'm going to answer that question. 2 years ago, I was the chairman of the land committee. Presently, what we're doing at the land office is we're trying to take these lands away from the non-Indians and put them in the hands of native ranchers. Makochi Agriculture today is developing a hemp plan that's going to create the revenues and the building materials that our reservation needs through hemp. All the equipment, all to harvest it, or to plant it, to grow it, and to make building products out of it. They're going to be able to help us build an infrastructure of homes across our reservation. And right now, if you look at hemp, mold, it's mold resistant. So homes will not have mold in them if they're built with the hemp products today. So we need to partner with Makochi Agriculture and try to come about with solutions so that each and every one of our youths today that are going to have families tomorrow will be able to have homes. Thank you.
You know, a big part of our whole land issue is BIA. We need to remove that middleman from our whole tribe, and so our tribe could do our own leases, so we'll quit using BIA. That's one thing that I see. Thank you.
Regards to our lands, 2 years ago when I was on council, that was a fight during our administration, was removing non-landowners and placing our own enrolled members to manage and own their own land. And something that I spoke on specifically was that you can negotiate the prices of your allotments when you're subleasing them out or leasing that land out. And that's something that we need to educate our people across the reservation, is that you are that owner of that land, and you should be the speaker of how much you charge. And I love the idea of getting rid of BIA. I know that's something I spoke about before, and that rattles some folks, that we don't need BIA. We do not need BIA as our babysitter. And I love the idea of talking about hemp. That's one of my biggest pushes with hemp, or is that hemp, because of the opportunities and the health benefits that it comes from. Hemp also cleans the air by 3%. It's not a psychedelic drug. It can also be utilized for medicinal uses, materials, building materials. You can't simply just grow hemp. You have to include the fibers that go with it. And that's something that it's a multi-billion-dollar industry that we should be tapping into, because we grow hemp here naturally across our lands, and we have so much of it, and we should be utilizing that, because it's also going to bring jobs and employment. And I just want to include that 1 minute kind of cut me short, but I wanted to thank the young gentleman who made the comment, show up. I want everyone to look at who's up here, and and I respect everyone that came here. Show up.
And I forgot to say I was running for Whiteville Water District, sorry. But there are some things in place now that we have started. One of our biggest things is the HERT Act. And this actually gives us control to take that middleman out. We started it for our businesses and there's one more, agriculture. So the tribe now has control over giving out those leases without having to go through the BIA. This is something that a lot of other tribes have did, and we just adopted the HERT Act. Speaking of land, though, you got to look at two different types of land. You got allocated land and allotment land and tribal land. Allotment land is something that you own. Say you own 3 acres, that's your land. The tribe has no control over that. The tribal land is what we control. So, and my counterpart here mentioned that, yes, you guys do have rights to negotiate your own prices for your lease. We also started a CREP program. I thought Mike was going to bring that up a little bit, but it's conservation for our land. So when you're talking about free land, a lot of that free land is deeded land. So there's a lot of different aspects that you have to look for that too, because a lot of times they're private owned and they're deeded land. So it falls in the hands of the landowners. Oh, well done.
Wait, let me interrupt. Sorry. The concessions, this is the final call for concessions. They're closing shortly. So just go and get your snacks while you can. Thank you. Continue, sir. Sorry.
The land issue is kind of complicated because fee lands, most of the fee lands are owned by non-Indians. And they pay taxes on that. The tribe has no say-so in that. But the tribe has, like Wendell said, the tribe has say-so on tribal property. If you have, your land is in a range unit, every 5 years, you get a letter in the mail. You know what the letter is? Goes in the trash. What you're supposed to do is fill that out. If you want more per acre, if you want it in a range unit, or if you want it, you're going to use it yourself. That is not explained to you. But if whatever group this is that's putting this on, anytime, I would be gladly to come out here and try and explain to you what you can do, the difference between the lands. Because it is a complicated area. There's 360 some, they call it allocation. Those are leases by our tribal members that have less than 300 head of cattle. But one of the problems that we have about getting young people involved is Lakota Tech, BIA, the OCHS, Little One. Those schools have to have an FFA program in their school in order for you students to get an FMHA loan and grant. So that's one of the possibilities of getting young people started, because a lot of these people out there, those ranches have been handed down for years and years by family operations. So I just wanted to tell you that. Thank you.
As a landowner, I am a landowner, and I just want to say today that when you talk about the Dawes Act, I went back to research a little bit about the Dawes Act, and I seen my grandfather, Little Hawk, was one of those tribal leaders that went to Washington, D.C. during that time. And there's a picture hanging of him, of all of our tribal leaders at that time that went to Washington, D.C. to talk to the federal government about the Dawes Act. And so when you look at it, you know, it was, to me, was to diminish our tribal lands on the reservation, but we had all of our tribal leaders that went there and fought against it. So today I'm really proud to say that my great-great-great-grandfather went to Washington, D.C. and opposed and fought against that Dawes Act. So as a landowner, we need to continue to educate our young people about even the fee land, what it is, tribal land, allotted land and tribal trust land. So I really want to say today that's a good question, and I think our young people need to really educate themselves about our land. Thank you.
Okay, you know, we have some good experts here because we had a lot of our council people that served on land committee for years. So like Davey and Mike, they know a lot about the land, and I'm still learning. But one of the things that I really think that we need to focus on is the land buyback. You know, a lot of our people, I feel like they were forced out of giving up their land, selling it. And I didn't agree with it. And my family always said, hang on to what you got, especially their land. No matter how much you got, always hang on to that. Unfortunately, a lot of our people were in need, and the government knows that, you know, and the people need money, so they sold their land. And, you know, through the land buyback, and I believe that the tribal council, our tribe, has that authority to do something about it. Now that we acquired it, we should look at giving it back to the family who they rightfully belong to. You know, because look at you, all you young people probably didn't give that opportunity to own land. So, you know, that's something that we need to look into. Thank you.
Excuse me. I know, just like what earlier was said with the other candidates, and dealing with fee land is something very difficult because we don't have the authority to go in there and take land, particularly any fee land away. So unless it's through purchase or whatever the case may be, but I'm sure if it's any kind of criminal act or whatever it's called, we certainly could go to court or inform public safety or whatever the case may be. But what are the other things that our land use of ourselves? My grandfather, William Bush, lived on Gooseneck, and he made use of his land by cutting grass. He had the older mower pulled by the horses. He had a hay wagon. Long time ago, I was kind of young then, but we didn't, I wasn't able to push hay into the hay wagon back then, but it was a lot of work, and I think that what could happen now is that we encourage our young people to go into ranching, even farming. We see a lot of land that's being, sunflower, corn, whatever else that could be done by our people down the road, and we just need to get to word and somehow develop that process for our young people.
Thank you. We'll repeat the question for sheets here. Yeah, we're going to repeat the question. We got to repeat the question. He didn't hear the question. So the question was, how do we reacquire the fee land that is owned by non-native ranchers, given the legacy of the Dawes Allotment Act, and what do we do about nearly half the reservation being owned by these outside ranchers?
Thank you for the question. My name is Richard Greenwald. Everybody calls me Cheech. I am a candidate for council representative for the Pine Ridge Village. I just wanted to introduce myself. I apologize for coming in late. I had to take my kids home. I still work here at Lakota Tech as a driver, so I've been with my wife, Billy Joe, for 34 years now. We have 4 children, Dallas, Richard, Jr., Jay, and Jaden. And I have 2 granddaughters, Amaranth and Arathea Greenwald. I was born and raised in Pine Ridge. I lived most of my life here. I'm a graduate of Pine Ridge High School. I received my honorable discharge in the United States Marine Corps, like our president has here. I've received my degree in criminal justice at United Tribes Technical College in Bismarck, North Dakota, and I spent the better part of my career, 24 years, in law enforcement. I had the pleasure of also serving our tribe as a district council representative for the Pine Ridge Village for 3 terms. I got out in 2020 and I'm coming back now. My platform is a little bit of everything. I've never seen Pine Ridge as bad as it is today right now. The violence, the chaos, the drugs, the alcohol, our elders are not happy. They feel unsafe in our communities. It's like our communities are being taken over by the people who are using drugs and alcohol. The street people are taking over a lot of the things that were comfortable for us. Our signs are being stolen in Pine Ridge right now. Somebody's paying people to take our signs down. And all they got to do is stop over there with $10, $5. But guess what that gets them? It gets them their skip. It gets them whatever they need to do that. And so what else crimes are being committed by people for $5 or $10 on our streets? Law enforcement. Our law enforcement, things like that. I could go on. So I could go on about law enforcement, everything, okay? So now to answer the question, you want me to answer the question now? That was just my introduction. Everybody else have one?
Yes, sir. We'll give you 2 minutes to answer the question.
Okay. I think our tribe has done a lot of things already to start that process of getting a lot of our land back with the land buyback program. We're not done yet. We still got a lot more to go. And some of these council reps will tell you that whenever we do acquire land, there's a process to get it out of fee land into trust, right, Mr. President? He has to make sure that he gets some documentation over to the U.S. government requested to move that stuff over to back over to trust. And it's not that easy either because you got people in the state that will fight you against that. They don't want that land moved back over to trust. So there's a little process, and I think our tribe does a pretty good job of trying to get most of our land back, and it's going to continue on. Like I got the rear end of what Jackie was talking about, but there's a lot more we need to do, and we can still do to this day. And we're not stopping here. We're going to continue to try to get all our land back that we can. We all feel that it's still ours, you know. So just a little bit quick question, and I'll get caught up now. So, thank you.
Next up, I would like to introduce.
Hold on. We got 2 more.
Oh, sorry.
Ladies first.
Diwali. My Uncle Philip is sitting down here and he's talking about my Grandpa Willie, and we still have our allotted lands in our family, and so I'm really proud of that. Like, we all live there at Gooseneck. My Uncle Philip doesn't, he lives down the road, but the majority of us all still live there. But the thing about it is, living on our allotted lands is we only get a 2.5 acre lease to live on it. And so we all have to do a 2.5 acre lease and then try to figure out how we're gonna live on a 2.5 acre lease. So we're not allowed to farm it, we're not allowed to ranch it, we're not allowed to do those things. And so when we get into divided lands, it's really a difficult situation with federal regulations and the tribe with limited powers they might have dealing with lease lands and so forth. Thank you.
Hello and good evening again. I'm Kevin Elver-Steele. All right, to the question, I believe everything, has when it comes down to laws, and I want to say one thing, education. Education, you educate yourself on every piece of land on this reservation because that land is your land. That land belongs to the tribe. It comes back to the membership. The things that happen in this tribe, the way the non-member can handle it and run on their land. We have a bad man clause. There's laws in place to use to get these lands back. The tribe, like I was going to state in the beginning, end that lease. If they are doing wrong on that land, mistreating it, treating it wrong, that they can be dealt with. The lease can end. It can be brought back to the tribe. But I'm saying education is the key because fee land is different from tribal land. Tribal land is not appraised as much as fee land. Even though they're right next to each other, they're different, very different. So education, I'm saying, learn the difference in that land because the tribe has sole responsibility and can do it because it's the people's land. If we don't fight for it and we allow someone to come in, a non-member, and regulate it against us, and we don't do nothing about it, we are losing it. We will never get it back. We need to look at our laws, educate ourselves, the difference in how to get it back and how we can prosper on it. The ideas out there are great. There are a lot of people who have great ideas. We can work together to bring this land because this land is your land and we need to fight for it. Thank you.
Thank you for all those wonderful responses. I would like to call up our activities director, Misty Musso, to ask an important question. Thank you.
Hi relatives. Like my introduction said, I'm Misty Musso Begay. I am from the Porcupine District. I'm an activities director here at Lakota Tech High School. I come from the success coordinating and as well as teaching and subbing here at Lakota Tech High School. So I've been here. I also have a daughter that had just recently graduated from here and is now graduating from college soon. One of the things that I want to ask on behalf of our school here to you council representatives is, how are you preparing for our influx of graduates that we're producing from the CTE pathway? It lines our walls back there, the business management, architecture construction, welding, health sciences. Many of our students graduate career ready with certificates, ready to go into the workforce. How will you help prepare for our influx of graduates coming out of here and to be here on the Wallaceu tribe?
That's a really good question. That's a good question. I like that question. One of the things that we need to do, and we need to do a better job of, is start preparing our economic and development plans, start bringing in different options and companies that are willing to come here. A while back when I was on council, Amazon was ready to come here. And they wanted to put a factory up by the airport. And it was to produce plastic BBs. And you would send these throughout the whole United States. Right now they come from the East Coast and they have to go all over the country. When they get to the company that they go to, like Pepsi-Cola, Tide, detergents, anything with a water bottle, thing like that, they take those BBs and they throw them in their mold, they melt them, boom, there's your bottle. That's what we were going to be able to do here. It would have started off small. The tribe would have had to invest at least $1 million of its dollars, but it was an investment for something down the future for our kids and our children and our grandchildren. We need to start thinking like that when we're getting into economic development and we're talking about law enforcement and rules of law and different things like that, to prepare for those ones that are coming out of the college center and getting them ready for the workforce. We have job openings. We have job openings on IHS, BIA, the tribe. We have tons of jobs. So we need to also expand on that because we need more jobs. Things like that with Amazon. We were told that Amazon was just going to come here and try to take our money. Now guess what? Amazon's spreading all over the United States. They're opening up offices all over South Dakota, and they're growing big and huge. We could have been part of that right now They're ready to expand our airport because we get divided here amongst one another about where it's supposed to go. But there's things about bringing a big factory. They have to have a good law enforcement program. They have to have medical emergency ready to go if something happens. You gotta have the hospital nearby because if something happens, they have to have water. They can't just throw it in the middle of nowhere. It has to be set up with infrastructure. I have so much more I could say about that, but we only got so much time. I could go on and on. But working together is our biggest obstacle for our kids.
And I like to also say that's a very good question, but in the area of preparing our students for the future, I think that the schools need to start, which is very similar to Lakota immersion. Now, Lakota immersion teaches everything of the Lakota values and the culture and whatever, but I think that business development immersion would teach our students that, and just like what my partner here is saying, that they need to learn to run a business. And like I said earlier, how to save dollars and so forth. And prepare for some type of business development that we want. Right now it's pretty tough because of our limited, we can't leverage our land for development. And so we have the resources there, but I think we need to become more aware of it and tell our future generation that they need to, I mean, that's all possible.
Yeah, okay. We were just talking about that the other day regarding plumbers and electricians, and you know, the need of that is really much needed on the reservation. We work with our people every day. They need plumbing, you know, work done. They need pipes fixed. They need wiring. They need all kinds of things done. And I think, you know, Philip didn't mention that he's the TARO director. The TARO they can also provide money for training people. So if you want further training, then he's the guy, and that's his program. But because of the fact that, you know, we get funding from our TARO fees when we do construction of big constructions, and the people pay their fees in, and that helps to go to his program to help employees, you know, labor workers. And I believe that, you know, we're working on our dome homes through the Rock-Pomney district, and we are helping people in those areas. And I believe that we need to be prepared because the need is there. We need people like, you know, just graduating to get accomplished, you know, for the people, because it's there, the need.
Could you make mine 5 minutes? Well, first of all, I just want to say I'm really thankful for the tech school because of the CTE pathway. All of the things that you have on the wall up there is exactly what our young people need, is training and skills to do exactly what my colleague here, Ms. Sears, said. You know, so many of our people don't have that. And a lot of times you get out of school, some go to technical schools, or they go to college for 4 years. I want to just say that, to me, we as a tribe need to be ready for you when you get done with school and come back. It needs to be not who you know, but what you know to get you these jobs, and the tribe needs to do that. So when I say 21 of us that have to work together as one, we need to do that for the future of our young people getting out of school and wanting to work in our tribe. Because we say, go off to school and come back, and we'll give you a job. And a lot of times that doesn't happen. So today I just want to say that, you know, we need to be ready for you. We need to be ready when you come out of college or come out of school and want to provide that training. We need to be open to that as a tribe, to be ready for you and have a plan. So that's something that we need to think about today, all of us candidates sitting in this, up here, this front, and who gets in the tribal council needs to think about that part of it. Thank you.
I just have one question. Does Sheech pick on you? Is it now your time to get even with him? Nice. No, you know, I live north of Sharps, and those of us, I see different vehicles coming down on the res, businesses. There's electricians, plumbers, and all that coming in. But we don't have no businesses here, plumbing companies, you know, that's something for you guys to think about, to take some of this employment away, because that creates jobs too, and it helps your families. That's just one way to think about it. And what Mr. Greenwald said, I was one of those people that went to Seattle, Washington, and Amazon was going to come here. They knew all about our airport and everything like that. When we took it to tribal council, they voted it down. That's where it went. Amazon knew everything about our airport, how big a building they was going to put in, but it was shot down. So think about it. Think about who you want. It's like Sonia said, we all have to work together to make this thing work. And we also need your input into what will work. Thank you.
You know, I'm a big push for entrepreneurship, but at the same time, you know, I challenge all the candidates that if you do get into office or when you do get into office, to take them risk and to bring in those businesses. Because like Davey just said it, we get a lot of opportunities, but when it comes to the council floor, it gets shot down. And you know, that's the people. It's not the people's fault, it's the council's fault. You know, so we have to be ready to take those opportunities for ourselves. Right now we're working on a solar project that can bring hundreds of jobs here and bring in for those architects and those construction type opportunities for people, but yet it's getting slowed down within council. So I challenge every council person here to take them risk, to give our people those opportunities so we can move forward and bring those economic development opportunities to our people. Oh, welcome.
I want to say thank you for that question, and I also want to state that Lakota Tech is doing perfectly by investing in their own people. It's an argument that I've had previously, that in order for us to move forward, we have to invest in our own people. We can't be afraid of certifying our folks and believing that they're going to move on for better and bigger opportunities. We have to create those here locally for our people to stay here. I, by trade, a network administrator, and I believe that the way of our future is certifications, vocational schools, and training that you're going to receive. I argue that that is our way of the future, and that's what Lakota Tech is doing now. We also need to look into opportunities that are already here. We shouldn't have to be creating them in 2024. During our administration, I pushed for our broadband across the reservation, so it would close that digital gap that we fall in living in highly rural America. And that also created jobs that are happening today, and we're potentially going to build towers across the reservation to create a broadband company that we can own ourselves. We already have folks who went to school, received their certifications, and are bringing that home. So that's something that we need to continue to do. We have a housing program that can enlist and employ a lot of our folks that are graduating from Lakota Tech. Wopila.
Okay, economics in our communities is just, it's real low. We haven't seen no growth in years, you know, minus the dispensaries that popped up. You know, I'm a business owner. We did create jobs that way, but we do want to, you know, I believe the tribe does have resources to build more buildings. You know, we should have more options to bring in these other like even these McDonald's, you know, more businesses to help our unemployment. I guess we just need to start somewhere, and if I get in there, I do want to start with economics. You know, we need to build another store. We got to stop letting these other store owners monopolize these areas to where we can't build within 20 miles of each other. We shouldn't be doing that to our own people, especially our entrepreneurs, the ones getting out of high school that might want to start a business. Thank you.
Okay, as I mentioned a couple of years ago, I was chairman of the land committee. I went to an economic summit in the Southwest, met a lot of the tribal leaders down there. We met with Hickory Apaches. They have a solar project down there. Each and every family's hooked up to that solar right now. They have discount electricity. We brought a company up here. It's called SIG Capital. You guys got smartphones? Look it up. The owner of that company, his name is Robert Carey. In the Forbes, he's one of the top 10 richest men in the world. They came here. We did the due diligence to create 200 jobs, a solar panel project out on top of a red shirt or Cooney table. Right now that project's on hold. Tribal Council put it on hold. That was going to create 200 jobs and training. It was going to create educational processes too, and they were going to give funding for scholarships for individuals to go into engineering, et cetera, and now I got another project that I brought to the council, not on council, but it's to do wind turbines, and that project is on hold too. We need to think outside the box. Our people are starving. We have fivefold in the number of people that would go to work today if we only create these jobs. It's up to the tribal council. But if you elect me, progressive leadership. But if you want to stay with the status quo, keep the same candidates in there.
I think that the challenge is, what do you want to do? So you ask us about an opportunity for employment, or what are we going to do? You're going to school to become somebody or to do something. The tribe has an economic development office. That office should have somewhere that you can go to help you build a business. How do you start it? Where's the paperwork? What do you need to do? If we sit and wait for the tribe, we're all just gonna sit and wait forever. I'm like 53 years old. I had to go out and do it myself. I became a teacher, spent 20 years teaching. I'm still teaching. So there's two avenues we can go. We can either become individuals or we can be collective. So if we're collective, we ask the tribe to create economic development and employ us to do that. If we're individual, we're going to go and create our own business. We all have a right to do that. We all can go create our own business on this reservation. There's two applications that we fill out. One is with the state and the other is with the tribe. And we have to pay an annual fee to both of those for that. So working with people to try to get ourselves away from dependency. Like, that's what I want to do. I want you guys to have opportunity in life and not have to be sitting on the streets homeless in Pine Ridge or in Rapid City. You guys deserve better. And so those are the things that I want to try to work towards, is to help you, give you the tools that you need. Thank you.
Thank you. I want to say right now, I currently sit as the 180 District Treasurer, and I see the need of my district people out there. Our people are hurting, but you know what? They continue to get their education. They're getting jobs, they're getting educated. I have people sitting on the streets out there with education who can't find a job. Right now, our tribe is failing us. They need to do a 360 turn and start taking economic development seriously. Our people are educated. They come home. They come home with their education to find a job. Our tribe's gonna start you out at $18. Wherever you got your education, you could be making 38, 28, 38, more than twice as much. We here on our reservation, our tribe seems to not take economic development seriously. And I think it can take a 360-degree change, and it's going to take people who need to get out there and support our youth who are educated. Bring them home and give them an honest, fair wage. They didn't go out to get educated to come home to be told you're going to make $18 and you're going to run this program and we're going to put you through hell. That's what's happening. It's got to stop. Our tribe needs to take economic development seriously because I have educated people sitting on the street with degrees and there's no jobs. I don't know where they're going to turn, but you want to elect me within Wanini District, I will make sure I support our people for jobs. Thank you.
Thank you to all those lovely responses to these questions. That is our last question. Sorry we had so many prepared, but we ran out of time. Thank you guys for coming, and we'd like you to remain seated. I'd like to introduce our beloved South Dakota District 27 Senator Tween Red Dawn Foster. She's running for her fourth and final term before she terms out. Please give her a warm welcome. Thank you.
Madakiapi. Thank you, nephew. Red Dawn Foster Machapi. It's so good to be here among everybody. I want to thank Lakota Tech, and I want to thank everybody that's here wanting to represent in a good way with good hearts for the people. And I mostly want to thank the youth for stepping up to bring everybody here. You know, it's really important to see these young faces here empowered, informed, engaged in organizing, because we can't just be cultural. We can't just be spiritual. We also have to be political. We are a political entity, and in order to maintain our sovereignty and exert our sovereignty, we have to have this young generation informed, engaged, and here. So I want to thank everybody that's here and say that as my nephew said, seeing him here introducing me was so beautiful, and as he said, this is my fourth and final term. I have been running at the state, going there every session for the past 6 years and representing our voice, and I thank you so gratefully for entrusting your voice with me, and we've done a lot of good. My Mashke Representative Puri Puyer could not make it here today because she's taking care of her baby, and her baby's sick, so she wanted to have me come and give her your love as well, give you her love as well. So I want to thank you. There's a lot of important questions on the ballot, one being Referendum Law 21, that's RL 21, and it is important that we say no. When I first ran in 2016, it was during the NODAPL, and we were fighting that pipeline. Well, once again, they're proposing to put a pipeline through our lands, our homelands, and it is important that we go out there and we make sure that we're saying no to this carbon solution pipeline. We already have a carbon capture process. It's called our natural grasslands. And so it's important that our voice is heard. So everybody that's here, I was told by applause, if you're going to vote, please let me hear your applause right now. And I want to thank you for your support. And there's a lot of money going into opposing us and making sure that it's difficult for us to return. So, what we lack in money, we make up in numbers. So please tell all your friends, family, relatives to get out and vote on November 5th. And so, Tatanka, thank you. So let's come out here. Okay.
We're going to be drawing for the APAC giveaway. If your name is called out, please go to back there and receive your gift. Michelle Means. There she is. All right. Yeah, back there. Set up back there. Yeah. Carol Whalen, Bruce's mom.
It's rigged.
The next one is Mato Looking Horse. Here. Shania Rickett, or I think it's Rickett. Shania Rickett. Sherry Rickett, sorry. The last one, Betty Fastwolf. Betty Fastwolf, please, you have been selected. Please receive your gift. Thank you.
Well, it comes to an end now, and we would just like to say thank you to all of our OST candidates, and we wish you all the best of luck during the general election, November 5th. Please get out and vote. Your voice, your vote, it matters to the people up here in the front. Once again, we say just thank you to all of you guys for coming out and supporting us in a good way. Good luck through your term. And we have 2 more drawings. Door prizes.
Constance Weaselbear.
Take care, Frank.
Bruce Whalen Sr.
You know it's rigged now.
Thank you guys once again for coming out. We appreciate it. See you guys later. Don't chalk it.
Thank you very much. Good to meet you, John. Hello?
I'm James.
James?
Yep.
Your dad is John.
Yep. My dad was John.